Hey guys, and welcome back to the Grassroots Pod. Today we have a very special guest. In the first sort of episode, I'm going to be doing a thing throughout the off season and hopefully even into the next seasons, into the summer, kind of showcasing these pro development clubs and some amateur clubs and things like that. I feel like that's where a lot of the good stories are. And at the end of the day, the name of the brand is Grassroots POV. So today I'm interviewing the head coach of Atletico, New Mexico, Patrick Schmittdiel. I want to get the pronunciation right.
Perfect. You got it, dude.
There we go. So he's fresh off their West Texas slash New Mexico UPSL title, and they're just about to head into their upcoming round of 32 match in the UPSL national playoffs. So Patrick, how you doing? Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. It's awesome. Still riding the high a little bit of that win. It was a great win. First time for the club, so it was big. And the guys deserved it. You know, they did the little things and they trained hard, they prepared, and it showed on the field. You know what I mean? So I'm excited to be here.
So first off, give me sort of the elevator pitch, if you will, on what Atletico New Mexico is, what level you guys are, what your kind of goals are, and just things of that nature.
Yeah, absolutely. So Atletico New Mexico, we're a pro development team. We play in like the fourth unofficial fourth tier UPSL, US Open Cup, right? And we even play a couple of like USL Academy like scrimmage matches type thing in our season. It's our third year. It's my first season taking over as head coach. So the first couple seasons, I think they made it to a final once, but they didn't have like consistent kind of play or elite play, right? We got guys that are local New Mexicans. We got players from Haiti, Congo, Gambia, Colombia, all kind of coming together to kind of play. And we represent like that gritty New Mexican kind of culture. We play kind of gritty 50-50 tackles. We play hard, we play with a lot of passion. So that's kind of what we do. We look to help the guys kind of get into college, get into USL teams, get into MLS academies, that kind of stuff, and kind of be a bridge from like youth per se into like that pro level. We have a lot of COVID guys, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So
And then what would you say you've learned? So some of your previous stops, right? So New Mexico Rapids, New Mexico Rush, you have
yeah,
that experience, and now, I mean, I think you would probably say this is a little bit of a step up, right? In terms of
yeah,
the competition, and what have you learned from those previous stops, especially as somebody who I'm kind of trying to get into coaching a little bit and just sort of climbing that ladder, so to speak. What have you taken from those, again, like lower level stops,
yeah.
and how are you using that to benefit Atletico?
I would say number one is get a good mentor, man. If you can get a good mentor and you can follow, and it's like any kind of profession, right? You get a good mentor, you kind of learn tricks of the trade and you make your own style, I would say. But those mentors are, I mean, they're class, and it's the best thing that can help you kind of build that style other than just coaching yourself, right? And just going through kind of the motions of the experience. I mean, obviously the youth game, it set me up to kind of prepare to kind of prepare teams and know how to lead teams and prepare and manage guys. Like this team, obviously, it's different when you're coaching kids, you're teaching, you're developing, and it might not be always about the results necessarily, right? It's about how we play and how you build. Where this team, it's results based, right? It's you're going into results based, and it's all about doing your job, right? So it's a little bit different of how you structure training, right? And I think it set myself up perfectly to kind of see like where in at least US soccer, right? Where the kind of bridges need to be made or where we could do better, right? Like I think there's some great pay-to-pay clubs. I think there's some great youth clubs. I think there's some great pro academies, but we don't do a good job of like coming together necessarily. And so that's my main goal was like, okay, I've seen the youth, I've done ECNL, I've done MLS Next, I've done EA. Like what's next, right? And so this UPSL gig kind of came to me, and I like you said, it's like a new challenge, right? So I think it's if anything, it's just prepared me to like kind of see like you can't fall in love with the system and live and die by it. You have to have a team that can adapt, right? You have to be able to adapt as a coach and meet players where they are, and that's going to be a different type of person each along the way. And if you can be a chameleon and you can kind of meet people where they are better, you're going to be a better coach. Even if you could have all the paperwork, all the sessions in the world, but if you can't relate to people, you're never going to be able to coach at the level. So I think it taught me really how to handle that, dealing with parents.
I can
So,
imagine. Yeah,
right.
yeah.
So, but
And then going off of that a little bit, what would you say is your sort of coaching philosophy, whether that be, more locker room based or actually tactics on the field? And then sort of off of that, how does being a professional development club factor into your play style? Is it like, because I always compare it to when you think of like, no, you guys aren't necessarily affiliated, but with like minor league baseball teams, yeah, all the
mhm,
players, it's still you're playing hard, you're playing for all that, but at the same time, there's certain things, hey, you know, they need this at the next level. We're going to kind
yeah,
of adjust the game, stuff like that. So how do you sort of factor that in to also keeping your true to yourself sort of
right.
coaching mentality?
Yeah, I mean, I'm very passionate to begin with. Like I used to tell people in the youth game, I'm not for every kid. I'm not for every player. If you want to be really good, if you want to work hard, I'll be your best advocate, right? But when it comes to these guys, right, you can't necessarily come in like a hammer, right? They're going to be like, who is this guy? You know? So you kind of like I've had to change my philosophy a little bit where it's more like managing and showing the guys and like giving them the details and the situations where they can grow to be successful in the next level, right? So it's putting them in mental situations where they get stressed, and they put in those adversity kind of situations like you're going to see, right, in the next level. Right. So I've changed a little bit with this group. It's been fun, like tactically on the field, because we have so many guys that have played professionally in Mexico. They played 4 years at D2 or D1 level. You have guys that probably should be playing in college, but they go to UNM and UNM doesn't have a team, right? So we have a lot of talent. And so I was able to kind of roll into a 3-4-2-1, which is kind of new for me. I'm usually a two pivot 4-2-3-1, kind of get the wings isolated kind of guy. But with these guys and the personnel that we have, I kind of saw we have pretty good box midfield. We have some pretty dynamic wingers. We have a big target nine, so I was able to kind of build the philosophy kind of around the guys. And then I was teaching the guys like, look, like if you go into college or you go into these pro systems, you might have to fit a system that the coach wants to play. Like the coach might be set on that system and you have to learn how to play it, right? So for some of these guys, they've never played anything like this. So it was a good uh kind of run through for them so that they can be like, oh yeah, I'm used to playing this, but my coach threw this at me, and then we threw this at me, and when we were down, we would do this, and when we were up, we would do this. And it's kind of being able to play on those cues, right? And that was my big thing with these guys is if you guys see this or this, that means we do this, right? If they're doing this, that means we're doing this. And it's keeping the other team on their toes so that we can still be, competitive in every single game, even if they're quote unquote better than us, right?
And just
Which is a
having
lot
that
different than
versatile player too,
yeah.
especially when they're trying to get to the next level or something, is huge because it's not, I'm not a one dimensional. I'm a center back that can play all this and adapt, which is huge.
Yep.
So, kind of going off that, who are a couple of players you think you have on the current roster now that have a real shot at in
Yeah.
the near future making that next step into maybe a USL or a different professional league?
Right. Yeah. So we had one guy, Gabriel Legendry. He played 4 years at Fort Lewis. Just went out to Dubai. Did a huge trial out there with Varsity Nine. Don't know if you know them. They're a FIFA accredited kind of like agency, and he played against like multiple Qatari and Dubai professional teams. With guys from all over Europe. I think there was one other American than him, so it was really cool for him to get that experience. And then we also sent him up to Boise, where he went and tried out with the new USL one team that's up there, which we have kind of a New Mexican connection because Jeremy Fishbein, who is the old UNM coach, he's the GM up there. So that's the kind of connection. So I'm glad to see maybe some New Mexican players having another pipeline, right? So he's definitely, I mean, he's definitely right there. He plays in that 8-10 role, super smart player, super passionate, very versatile, good on the ball, good vision, right? And then I have a six who played for Eastern New Mexico, and then I don't know if you know about that program, but they unfortunately folded. And so you got a lot of players out of there that were like just got into college, and then their team folds, and they have literally don't know what they're doing. And so we kind of gave them a home, right? And Douglas Cutshall is his name, good player. He's training with the United Academy right now. Trains with the first team a little bit, so we have a good connection with them as well to hopefully pass some players on. But he's also keeping his options open. He's working with switchbacks, a couple colleges in North Carolina, CSU Pueblo. So it depends on what, kind of comes his way. And then, we have a striker who played for Cruz Azul. He's a little bit older, but he's got 8 goals and 6 games and 4 assists. Numbers speak,
Definitely.
numbers talk, right? And when it comes to eye test, he's got it. Big number 9, Alejandro Garcia. So he'll be looking to probably put his stamp in the next game, or as we get into the the finals, UPSL finals, if we can make a run. And then our goalkeeper, Dom Valenzuela, he only let 7 goals in all season. I think it's a little under one a game. So he's had a really good year. He usually was playing with like New Mexico Runners and some of the stuff here, but they're not going to have a season. So he's looking to maybe make the jump. So we got a good core, we got a good core of guys, and we got a young group coming in. So we're hoping to hopefully send a couple out and then do the same thing again. But it's all in good time, right?
Totally. And
It's all
what pride do you take in being really one of those only that there's not a ton of pro development outlets in New Mexico or really the region in general, if we're being real. So it's what
Yeah.
pride do you take in especially that New Mexico part? I know you said you have a good relationship with the USL Championship Club, things like that. What pride do you take in being that real New Mexican pro developmental club?
I mean, it's everything, right? Like spending time here and growing up in North Carolina and then moving here 7 years ago. I quickly became adopted as a New Mexican, and the community accepted me and welcomed me and pushed me to become a better coach and a better human, better man, right? And so I owe the community everything that I can give. And so it's everything for us. Every time we put on the badge, right? It's got the Zia on it. And we play for it, and that's what it's about, right? And UDA down at NMSU, they have pro development, but when it comes to like price, it's pretty penny down there. You have to pay a pretty good amount. And so if you don't have that necessary demographic, push, it's really hard. And so for us, we like to kind of offer like, we offer it's $250 a little player fee, and that's for mostly your uniform and your UPSL registration. And if even then we offer player plans, scholarships, we help guys out. It's about getting guys on the field, right? So we pride ourselves on being able to hold a team that, we're not trying to charge an arm and a leg. We're not trying to have a huge sacrifice, but we're able to pump out good players and good results and good soccer, and kind of have something that the community can be proud of, right? I mean, United's huge, right? And United is awesome. And so it's hopefully just having that next step and helping them out and just collaborating as a soccer state, right? And so we could just grow the game as a whole.
And just in my travels going to New Mexico United and stuff, just I mean the people from the club to the fans and everybody, it's hard to find just they do everything right.
Right.
It's really interesting to kind of see that. So it's awesome to know that your players have an outlet, especially I mean having guys training with the academy stuff. It's really cool just to kind of have that cohesive community. So before I switch a little bit more to, a little bit of the nitty-gritty of being a lower league team with financials and things like that. Want to give you a chance. So the two pieces of silverware behind you. I know
Yes,
I'm
sir.
assuming one is from the last weekend.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
can you
So
explain both of them and kind of the different
yeah, so,
finals? And
so the
yeah.
one right here, so this one is the regular season champion. And we got that just for just being the number one overall 1 seed, right? What
Mhm.
comes with that is a nice little semifinal bye into the conference final. And then you also get a home conference final, which for us was massive because our home field is such a nice place to play. We're the only team in the league that has a legit FIFA quality grass surface. We play at Bernalillo Soccer Complex, and it's an inch and a quarter. Germany and Austria will be training there over the World Cup, this next World Cup next summer, and it's beautiful to the T. And so we really want it, and it allows you to play a certain style, right? Not playing on like fast turf or hard ground, and it allows us to play our game really well. And so that was something from the beginning, like we have to get that regular season so that we can play at home because it's just going to give us that better chance to move forward. So that's the regular season one. And then we have the one to my right. That's the big daddy. That's the conference final, and UPSL does it right. I was shocked and surprised at how big the trophies were and the prizes and stuff. But for the guys, it really was. It's another motivation, right? Being able to take that picture, being able to lift it as a group. it's something to really play for. And, and it's something that we can, put in the trophy cabinet and then next season look at it and be like, okay, I need to add number two. It needs a brother. You know what I mean? Like kind of
Totally.
mentality and then do it all over again. Where if you have something that's small, I don't think it's as motivating. So I give the league a lot of credit for what they do and keep like the organization and the structure and the finals and the silverware, and they do a pretty good job. So
I was gonna say it looks a lot better than the USL's attempt at trophies.
I wasn't gonna say it, but
Yeah, it's
they
well, one
might
has
want to take
a
some notes.
yeah, one has a huge deal with CBS and can't really even give out a trophy. So it's
Yeah, I know.
definitely UPSL is doing that definitely right.
Yep.
So
Yep.
switching a little bit more to this is what I'm always kind of fascinated by with a lot of these semi-pro teams, the pro developmental teams financially. So your league throughout most of the regular season, I'd notice it's there's a team in Las Cruces, right? And then it's mostly El Paso. How does
Yep.
that work out in terms of traveling, not just financially, but also in terms of player availability? Because I'm assuming a lot of these guys, whether they have school or jobs
Yep.
outside of it, you
Yep.
can't always just pick up last minute or something. And even like with this weekend, not knowing the time or anything of the game yet, and it's like we're 4 days out, 3 days out, so or even
Yep.
less, yeah, like 2 or 3. So
Yep.
what is that sort of not just the financial side of it? How does that work, whether it's donations, things like that, but also with player availability?
Yeah. So I mean, we roster a pretty big roster. We have about 35 guys. That's a total in the pool, which is amazing. We'd have one guy drop, three guys come in, and it's like okay, and so player availability, it really hasn't been that much of an issue this season. We were lucky enough for scheduling wise, the UPSL schedule came out pretty early, so I was able to give guys that, and they could kind of plan work around it, that kind of stuff. We made sure to make all the games on Sundays, which made it a little bit easier because most people were off Sundays. And so the only thing you really had to fight there was church a little bit, right? And so it made it a little bit easier because guys working during the week, right? School during the week, that kind of stuff, they could kind of get their stuff done Friday, Saturday, and then have Sunday off. If I could have a perfect world, I would love to travel the day before, train, stay in a hotel, play the game, and come home. But unfortunately, that wasn't in the budget this year. That would be really expensive. And so luckily El Paso is only like 4 hours away, right? And so what we did is we just rent 15 passenger van, a couple $100 there, about $100 in gas. And then if we need to, we take the 15 passenger van, so like 15, 14 guys, and then the owner, Miguel, would take his Honda Accord. That fits, four more guys, and then there's your roster of 18 right there. And so, and then you go down with 18, and then mostly, hopefully, everyone can play or everyone gets good playing time. Or at home, you might not get that kind of opportunity. So it's good to kind of reward the guys who can travel. So some of those guys that might be hungry to play, they make sure they can travel because they know they're going to maybe get some burn that they haven't gotten, So it's just building that kind of that culture of like wanting to be there and wanting to, make it a priority and all of that kind of stuff. So, player availability has been pretty good. I think the lowest we had, I was like 16 with two keepers. So, yeah, a little tight, a little
Getting a
tight. We had an
little
injury,
close, but
a
still
little
enough
tight.
wiggle room. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, a little tight, but I mean, we got the result, we got it done, and we were a better team after it because there's learning moments and adversity, right? And so, I wouldn't change it. Financially, we're grassroots, right? Just like your pod, just like your brand. We're total grassroots. We do have some like local business sponsors, some corporate sponsors out of New Mexico, and then other than that, it's all basically donations. I mean, the player fee is very small like I said, 250 a player, and that's literally just to like pay the registration, pay like to help get the field rental space, pay to maybe help with the fields of the games, that kind of stuff. But we're not charging, 9 grand like other programs in our state. So, we offer a very reasonable kind of experience for the guys. And so we hope to have a little bit more community. Like we have a GoFundMe right now got a couple $100 that people are helping us from the community for us going forward, Um, we have a couple brand deals that, now that we've won, they want to have a little bit more like Telemundo. Telemundo, we're hopefully going to we just had a World Cup kind of interview with some guys on there, and we're hoping to get a little bit more airtime on there because Telemundo is obviously huge in New Mexico with Spanish speaking culture. So um, hopefully with kind of that and with winning, we can get a little bit more, a little more community support, and we can show them that, there's another pathway, there's another pathway for guys. So
Mhm.
I mean, it's always a learning curve.
No, definitely. And I mean, it's part of the beauty and the struggle with grassroots soccer because it's at least for clubs that do it right, like you guys, where it's 250. I'm curious, how much is it to register a UPSL player?
So the player itself is like, I think it's like $55 or so
Gotcha.
40,
Okay.
45 to 55. I could be wrong. Miguel usually handles, I do the soccer, I do all the
Yeah.
soccer programming. He does all the business side, right? Couldn't do it without him. Jeez. But it's about 45 bucks a player. And then the team itself is 2,500 per season. So, when you're looking compared to that, where USL2, we got offered a USL2 bid this last season, it's about 60 to 80 grand just to play in the league, just to play USL2, right? So you look at it as an overhead, it just makes so much more sense to play in the UPSL where you can play US Open Cup, you can play in national televised games, you can play in, national tournaments against teams from all over the nation and California, and you can play meaningful games. For me, it makes more sense than trying to struggle and play 2 or 3 seasons and then not be able to keep it going, right? Because the money is too much.
As we see
So,
happen very often. Yeah, with a lot of the
NCFC,
USL.
right?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Right.
So going a little bit more broad, what do you see? Take this however you want, whether it's on the field, whether it's off the field, whether it's both. What do you see for the future of Atletico New Mexico in the next, 5, 10 years, anytime down the line? What's sort of the end goal or really mission?
Yeah, I mean, so my ultimate vision, right? And this might come with, who knows, we might need to rebrand. We don't know, right? But my ultimate vision is to have a youth club underneath our UPSL team, which then is helping fund and helping have a pathway for players. I love ECNL, I love MLS Next, I love all those leagues, right? But call it what it is, right? They're very expensive kind of like badge leagues,
As
right?
somebody
Where
who
you're
played in the
playing to get a badge,
ECNL,
right?
yeah, right when it
I've
was
done
starting
it.
up for the boys, it was crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've done it. I've coached all up and down that. I was a director. It paid my bills. I loved it. But at the end of the day, if I can offer a pathway where elite players are playing with older players and they're playing with college level talent and pro level talent, for our demographic, it makes more sense than spending thousands of dollars to go travel to Utah to go play against some kid that is the same age as you. For me, you're looking at European clubs. If you're old enough, you're good enough, right? And it's only getting younger, 15, 16, 14, right? You're seeing, I mean, Chris Rigg was 17 at Sunderland starting full games, right? So you're only getting younger. And so if I can create a pathway for New Mexicans where you're not having to pay 8 to 10 grand a season to travel and to do all these things, then that's what I want to do, right? And it's a second, you got two different positives with it where you can then have the guys that are playing for UPSL team coaching your youth teams, and now they're not having to do these construction jobs, these random jobs where they're coming straight from 5 a.m. to 3 p.m. and then they go eat an hour lunch, they come straight to training, and you see them in their full clothes and everything, and then you see them on the field and you're like, what? That guy does roofing, and that guy does flooring, right? And so it's a way to kind of offer them a little bit more as well. Give back, help with the club. Club can pay you guys to then coach, and then you don't have to work as much, and you can kind of just work in the game. And then as a whole, our first team's going to get so much better because they're able to focus on the craft and do everything like that, right? So that's my main goal is to kind of it's a little bit bigger than myself, right? Is just continue to grow the game in New Mexico. We have so many good players that don't get seen or don't know how to get seen, right? Or just don't know the next steps. And so if I can help any of them go farther than me or use the game, I mean, the game has done so much for me. If I can help them in any way, that's the main goal. So I would like to, maybe start a youth club. And we're talking about it. There's some things that are in the work, so we'll see how it goes.
All starts with the youth. It's at the end of the
Yeah.
day in pretty much
Yeah.
every sector. It
Yeah.
never hurts to have a good youth base. So
Yeah.
coming to the end here, so what would be your message to somebody who, I don't know, maybe whether it's through this or through Telemundo or whatever it may be, you're in New Mexico, you maybe got a free Sunday, you're done with church or you're just hanging
Yeah.
around. what would be your sort of, I don't want to say pitch because you shouldn't necessarily need to pitch people, but what would be your kind of explanation on what Atletico New Mexico is, especially as you guys go into a hopefully long playoff run with hopefully a few home games,
Yeah.
or even just watching on TV or whatever? What would be your pitch to somebody to be like, hey, sort of consume some of this media and check out the club?
Honestly, I think you'd be surprised. I think you might be surprised on the level of play and kind of how fun, we are to watch. We play really fast. We love to play with the ball. We love to be threatening with the ball. We love to play in the attacking third, and we love to be creative. So if you're a soccer fan or if you're a footy fan, we're gonna play, in this forgotten age of like playing out the back and this like slow manage of the game, which I love. There's always a place for it, right? And playing the right way. We do play a style that is kind of not lost, but it's not as played as much. And I think that's helped us this season. In some of our wins, right? Because teams are thinking like, oh, we're going to press them really well. Well, no, you're not, because the ball just went 60 yards to the other guy who's not on a one-on-one attacking. And so while not playing kickball and being direct, we play a pretty funny game, and our guys play hard. Um, you're going to see them at competing, you're going to see them representing, right? And you're going to be able to kind of see guys that you maybe seen play in high school, or you see around town, or you've seen in the paper, stuff like that, that are locals that are from the hometown. Right. I love United, but that is something that they've gone away from. They don't have many locals in their first team. And so that's something that we pride ourselves on, that, hey, everyone lives here, everyone lives here. Most guys have lived here for a long time and have grown up here, and they're New Mexico born and bred, and we can kind of use that identity. And I think most people here will back that, you
Mhm.
know. So,
Exactly. Sold me on it.
right?
And I'm over here in California. So anything else you'd like to promote? I'll make sure I put you guys, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you go link in bio. I'll link the GoFundMe for the fundraiser, all their social media, all that. But is there anything else you'd like to add? Always like to do this
Yeah,
at the end
no,
anyways.
I'm super thankful for you having me on and you highlighting the guys. The guys, I think this season they've deserved the winning more than any team I've ever coached. Doing the little things right, taking care of their bodies, giving back to the community, the little things in training, keeping each other, kind of disciplined, and just playing the right way, playing good soccer the right way, gentlemen's wise, like just the way it's supposed to be played. They deserve it, and I'm super proud of them for it. I told them at the game and the conference final, I said, would you guys believe me if at the beginning of the season when I took over in June, I tell you that we'd have two silverwares on either hand going to national finals? Would you believe me? And they're like, I don't know. So it's just about keeping, making history and keeping proving people wrong, and just keeping on going. So if anyone wants to follow on Instagram, we have an Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and then that GoFundMe link, that would be awesome. Any help is appreciated. Like I said, we're total grassroots, and we hope to keep winning.
There we go. Love it. And
So
yeah, we'll collab share on some of the Instagram posts, things like that. Make sure we get the whole audience. But so be sure to be on the lookout for the time and date for Atletico New Mexico's round of 32 match. It'll be the weekend of the 20th, correct?
yes,
Um,
2021st, one of those 2 days. Yep.
gotcha. So they'll be playing the winner of the Texas Central final between FC Brownsville and 210 or 210 FC, and that'll be this weekend. So
Yep.
do you guys know if you have a home game or is it a draw that
So yeah, so it looks like because we're 15 hours away, and the UPSL really does try to do a good job of like travel and like managing costs. It looks like we're probably going to play in a neutral spot about halfway. So it'll be about 6 hours, I think, for about us, 5.5 hours for us, a little bit shorter for us, as we'll hopefully be the higher seed. But we're most likely going to play at Lubbock Christian or somewhere in that area. Beautiful facilities, brand new field. So hopefully we can get in there and have a good game. So
definitely, yeah. And I'll be posting all the updates and stuff. So for you guys watching, it's make sure you're on the lookout, stream or shoot if you're in the New Mexico area or in Lubbock,
yeah, come
come
to
out and
Texas.
support.
Come out to
Exactly. But
Texas.
yeah, Patrick, I just want to thank you so much for coming on. This is awesome. Thank you for kind of kicking off this new series with me. And really, I mean, this is what the channel's about. So I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been an honor, dude. Thank you so much.
Yeah, yeah, appreciate it.